If you're politically conservative, odds are you've gotten into a debate with someone either online or in person who disagrees vehemently with your point of view. Now, sometimes it's best just to not engage at all. Just avoid eye contact and back away slowly.
Back it up, yeah, and back it up. Okay, all you're gonna do is we just back it up, okay? That's it, back it up.
But if you're anything like Trey and I, sometimes you can't help but to stand your ground, man your battle stations, and fight back. Today, we're going to show you some of the tactics that we've honed over the last decade as we've debated our political opponents, and really show you how to win arguments against liberals with almost clinical precision. We are the Wright brothers. Let's get it started. As many of you know, there are plenty of topics the average liberal will try to debate the average conservative on, and today we're only going to cover a few. But if you don't see what you'd like to see in this video, leave us a comment and let us know what you'd like to see, and you just might see it in a part 2. We just might do it. Now, before we start, we have to add a disclaimer. Every argument with a liberal is a little bit different, so we can't definitively promise you that these tactics will be effective. But we know that the average liberal usually doesn't have more than 3 to 5 retorts on any given subject, so the odds are in your favor. Without further ado, take your seats. Class is now in session. The first topic we're going to cover today is that of the economy. Now, I'm sure you all remember back in 2016, before the election, everyone was freaking out about how the economy was going to crash, stock market was going to plummet, it was going to be the end of the world as we knew it. And 2016 came and went. Even so, some people still believe it. Let's look at an example of how a liberal might try to argue with a conservative about the economy. Ready? Here we go. Oh my gosh, it's 2016, the election's next month, and the stock market is going to crash.
Well, actually, if you take the time just to consider what may happen is Trump was actually an accomplished businessman, and you can debate the success or failure, but you can't debate his longevity. So I think the reports of the economic demise might be just a little bit overblown. And fast forward to the present day, look at how many times the stock market has hit record highs, despite so many caterwaulings to the contrary. In fact, we've gotten to the point now where we have liberals, prominent liberals now, actively rooting for an economic collapse just so that they can say that it's all Trump's fault. And other liberals will be on the other side of the fence and say that all of the economic success thus far is due to Trump's predecessor, President Obama. Now, I'm not going to say that every president is directly responsible for the success or failure of the economy, but let's be real here. You can't blame everything on Bush, say that Obama fixed it, and then say that anything that happens better under Trump is also due to Obama. You can't have your cake and eat it too, Mr. Liberal.
Next, let's look at the next topic that liberals frequently try to use in their debates, and that is that of Trump being a vile racist. It doesn't matter if you're a white conservative or a minority conservative. This is an argument that you are sure to encounter. Self-loathing white liberals and gullible minorities are the most easily tripped up by this argument. But there's more than one way to beat it, and it's easier than you think. Check it out. Oh my gosh, oh my, orange man bad. Trump is a racist. He's mean to Mexicans. He's racist towards Mexicans. Trump is just a racist individual. Nothing you can say to dispute it.
All right, Mr. Liberal, I'm going to have to ask you just to calm down for just a second. You have to stop and consider. President Trump isn't just some Johnny-come-lately on the political scene. Well, he is on the political scene, but as far as on the social scene, he's been in the public eye for the better part of 4 decades. This is not somebody who has a bunch of skeletons in their closet. Indeed, when it comes to Hollywood, most of anything that could be exposed has been exposed at this point. We're talking about a man who has seriously dated minorities. He had a black girlfriend way back in the day. We're talking about someone who talked to border agents. And in that famous quote, we're talking about how you're implying that he said Mexicans are rapists? No, he did not, sir. He said that he spoke to border agents, many of whom are Hispanic themselves, and relayed the information that they were telling him. Isn't that something that you'd want a president to do who's interested in increasing the infrastructure to combat illegal immigration? You would want him talking to those people down there, right? Well, what are they telling him? He was telling us what they were telling him. And for some reason, that just wasn't flying with y'all. Also, when it comes to calling him racist because of Mexicans, Mexican isn't a race, I'm sorry to report. And also, illegal immigration does not only have to do with the Mexican border. It has to do with people coming in and overstaying visas from anywhere and everywhere. So let's try to codify our arguments just a little bit better. Now, as far as Trump being a racist for saying, we shouldn't have people come in from quote unquote shithole countries. First of all, let's go back and look at that story. That was not exactly corroborated by any more than one person. Basically, we're talking about hearsay. Now, does it sound like something that President Trump would say? Well, maybe, maybe not. I lean more towards the maybe side of the scale. But just calling someplace a shithole country does not necessarily mean that it is a minority country. There are plenty of white countries that are also considered shitholes as well. There are plenty of places within the United States that we'd probably bag on as well. So let's not just jump straight to playing the racist card just because we ran down, a foreign nation. It doesn't really wash. Now, you didn't mention this, Mr. Liberal, but we've heard it so many times. We harken back to the Charlottesville, Virginia controversy. Now, so that was the first time beyond the illegal immigration comments that many of people on your side said that this was, oh my God, unmitigated proof that President Trump is just the most vile, racist person on the planet, and he bared it all for the world to see. But if you go back and look at the actual quotes, that's really not what happened. We see that some people were saying he outright supported white supremacy by saying there were, quote, good people on both sides. What was he talking about exactly? Was he saying that white nationalists were good and there were also people on the other side that were good? No, he wasn't. In fact, he made a purposeful caveat and said specifically that he was not talking about white nationalists. He was talking about people on both sides of the debate about whether to keep a Confederate statue that had been around that campus in town for years. And there were good. He was saying that there were good people on both sides of that argument. But of course, people ran with their own narratives and acted like he was saying that, like he was tacitly condoning white nationalism, when if you look at the comments that he made that day and a few days later, he explicitly refuted any and all such claims. So if we're going to say Trump is a racist, it really just doesn't wash with reality. There's far too much water under the bridge. If he was a racist, I'm sure we would have had something much more serious than, blackface come out. But maybe if he was a Democrat and his name was Ralph Northam, then we'd be able to give him a pass. Am I right?
Finally, remember when Trump came down the escalator in 2015 to announce his candidacy for the presidency? There was a specific thing that he said in that speech that immediately sent the media into a frenzy, the likes of which we thought we would never see again, but obviously they keep on outdoing themselves as the days, weeks, and months and years progress. Now, the topic then candidate Trump was talking about was illegal immigration. Within 24 hours of President Trump bringing this topic to the fore, the narrative had been set, and the media has continued to push their flawed inferences of what he really said down the Americans' throats for the last almost 4+ years now. Let's look at how you can best defeat this if it is brought up in a debate. Trump hates Mexicans. He said that they were all rapists and criminals, and I just can't believe he actually said that. You know he said that. There's actual video proof that shows he said that.
Well, Mr. Liberal, you're absolutely right. There is video of him uttering the word rapist and saying that they aren't sending their best. But like I said before, he was talking about information being relayed to him by Border Patrol agents who, by the way, are dealing with what is quickly become an untenable situation on our border, especially our southern border. You have to stop and realize it's not just Mexicans that are coming through there. We have people that are coming from way down in South America. We have people coming over somehow from Africa, winding up in Central America and pouring in through our southern border. We're talking about, what it comes down to is we are talking about a numbers game. The United States of America is the most generous nation in the world, bar none. We stretch ourselves extremely thin, both domestically and abroad, to take care of people who may or may not be as deserving as other countries would deem. But there is a limit to that. Every sovereign nation has the right and the ability to control who enters and exits their border. That's kind of what makes you a country to begin with. All President Trump has been saying is that the United States needs to get back to making sure that we actually vet the people who come in and out of the country. And to your point, talking about him calling people rapists, and there's an undeniable correlation between the high illegal immigration rates and crime. You can't deny that. And while some of you on your side of the aisle will point to the fact that American citizens commit crime as well, the point is the victim of the crime of an illegal alien should never have been a victim in the first place. And that's because we did not do our due diligence as a country in ensuring that we had a safe border down there. Now, President Trump is not the first one to suggest that we have a physical barrier. In fact, many prominent Democrats have said that before. And you can go back and check out other Wright brothers videos where we've discussed that fact in depth. But it's not just about keeping people out. It's about keeping our people safe. And I think that's something that we've lost sight of in our Trump derangement syndrome, orange man bad, or just anti-Republican talking points. We've gotten to the point where we've eschewed common sense for the sake of scoring political points and hoping that will carry the day in the 2016 election. That's just not going to fly, Mr. Liberal.
Now, I appreciate you all bearing with me as I put on that repulsive piece of headwear. It hurt me very much. But as you know, we've been doing over these last 10 years really trying to understand the minds of our political opponents in order to best unpack what they deem to be true. There's an old saying that says, in order to defeat your enemy, you must first know your enemy. And my brother and I over these last 10 years really have tried to master that. And we don't know everything. We don't have all the answers. But these are some of the common things that we always encounter from our friends over on the left-hand side of the aisle. As you can see, it's not that hard to actually address these and actually pretty easily debunk them if you come from a standpoint of logic and sound reasoning. But as we said in the beginning, if you didn't hear something that you wanted to hear in this video, what we ask you to do is write a comment and a suggestion for a future topic you'd like for us to cover. We'd be more than happy to do that for you. We love reading our comments and engaging with our base, and we know y'all have some of the best ideas out there. Now, before you leave, don't forget to check out our Facebook page, the Wright Brothers IPID, run by that guy over there. He is phenomenal, and he gives you more of our thoughts on current events as they happen in the political space. Also, for those of you who are inclined to support us financially through Patreon, please feel free to do so at the link below in the description box. We have membership starting at just $1 a month. Every one of y'all who does that not only helps us to get the music license that you hear, the animations license that you see all around us on the screen, it also helps us to get the equipment that we need to continue bringing you the top-notch production we strive to bring you with every new upload. We want to thank those of you who've already taken it upon yourselves to support us in this fashion. Y'all the real MVPs, and we could not do this without you. But the last thing we'll ask you to do, if you like what you saw in this video, please smash that like button, press that subscribe button as well, and share it with a friend. Help us continue spreading the word, identity politics is dead. But that's all we have for this episode.
And we'll see you in the next one.
The first revolution is when you change your mind about how you look at things and see that there might be another way to look at it that you have not been shown. The revolution will not be televised, and be no rerun, brothers and sisters. The revolution will be live.